The topic that we shall be covering today is rejecting the Thagut. What is the Thagut? The Arabic word Thagut is from the word tagha, which means to transgress beyond the bounds set by Allah Ta'ala. So Allah said, Hal ataka hadithu Musa. Did the news of Musa come to you? Idh nadahu rabbuhu bil wadi al muqaddas Tuwa. Your Lord called out to him from the sacred valley of Tuwa. Idhaba ila Fir'aun innahu tagha. Go to the Pharaoh and warn him because he tagha. He transgressed all the bounds and limits set by Allah. Surah 79. So what is the Thagut? I have in front of me 11 examples of the Thagut. When Omar was asked, what is the Thagut? Omar said, the Thagut is the shaitan, the devil and his henchmen. The second example of Thagut is false deities. So if a false deity is being worshipped, that false deity is a Thagut. Jesus is worshipped by the Christians, but Jesus is not a Thagut. Do you know why? In order for you to be a Thagut, you have to know that the people are worshiping you and you enjoy it and you allow it to continue. So Jesus is not a Thagut, even though Christians worship Jesus. 2 billion people worship Jesus. You have to know that the worship is taking place and you enjoy it and allow it to continue. The third Thagut is an icon for a false religion. So if you make up your own religion and invite people to it, you become a Thagut. So take for example, Mirza Ghulam Ahmed of Qadian in India, who claimed to be a prophet after Muhammad. He said he was a prophet after Muhammad. And these men became a symbol and an icon for a false religion. There is no doubt that they are Thagut. So once you make up your own religion and have a following, you are a Thagut. The fourth Thagut is the man who claims to have knowledge of ilmul ghaib, the unseen. So he says to you, don't worry about the rain, I can bring the rain. I have dominion over the rain. Or he claims, I have knowledge of ilmul ghaib. Jabir ibn Abdullah, when he was asked about the Thagut, he said, these soothsayers and fortune tellers, they are the Thagut, and the shaitan descends to them. And the shaitan brings news to them, and then they mix one truth with 100 lies. And a Muslim is not allowed to go to soothsayers and fortune tellers and the palm readers, because these people are the Thagut. And the Prophet said, Man ata kahinan fasaddaqa. Anyone who goes to the soothsayer, the fortune teller, the diviner, and believes in him, such a man rejects faith in what came down to Muhammad. The fifth Thagut is the magician. It makes no difference whether it's a male or female magician. So Allah spoke about Egypt, what Thagut. Surah Nisa, verse 51 is the black magic, and the Thagut is the shaitan. The Rasul said, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Hadd as-sahir darbatan bis-sayf. The punishment for the practitioner of magic is one strike of the sword, one blow with the sword. When Umar became the caliph, he wrote letters to all the Muslim provinces, whether it was Mecca or Sham, Syria, or Palestine, or Yemen, all the Muslim provinces, he wrote letters and said, hunt down every magician, males and females, and kill them. Because these magicians, they are giving people the impression that they have supernatural powers that belong only to Allah Ta'ala. The sixth example of the Thagut is man-made isms and schisms. For example, communism, socialism, capitalism, racism, tribalism, nationalism, all these things are Thagut, man-made isms and schisms. In the 1970s, millions of Muslims who were living in Uzbekistan, Afghanistan, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, Azerbaijan, Albania, Yugoslavia, Latvia, Romania, and many other places in Asia and in Europe, they died as kuffar. They claimed to be Muslims, but they died as kuffar because they died believing in communism. So why? Because they had no sheikhs in their countries to tell them that you need to reject the Thagut. In our time, millions of Muslims in India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nigeria, Malaysia, Indonesia, South Africa, they die as kuffar because they die believing in democracy. So in the 1970s, they died believing in communism. And that is kufr and shirk. But in our time, the new fitna is a fitna of democracy. So why these Muslims in India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nigeria, South Africa, Malaysia, Indonesia, they died as kuffar because they died believing in democracy, because they have no sheikhs in their countries to tell them that democracy is the greatest shirk. And you are not allowed to follow the democratic process. To believe in Allah is not enough to make you a Muslim. When you believe in Allah, you are only practicing half of your shahada. The second half of the shahada is kufr bit Thagut. So Allah said, La ikrah fi din, Baqarah 2:56. Let there be no compulsion in religion. Qad tabara ar-rushd min al-ghayy, because truth stands out clear from falsehood. فَمَن يَكْفُرْ بِالطَّاغُوتِ وَيُؤْمِن بِاللَّهِ فَقَدِ اسْتَمْسَكَ بِالْعُرْوَةِ الْوُثْقَى لَا انفِصَامَ لَهَا. So anyone who rejects faith in the Taghut, all the false deities, and all the man-made isms and schisms, and then believe in Allah, he has hold fast to a grip that will never break. لَا انفِصَامَ لَهَا. So your shahada has two parts, negation and affirmation. La ilaha. This half of the shahada is called negation. There is no God. Illallah, except Allah, is called affirmation. So in order to be a Muslim, you reject faith in all the false deities and all man-made isms and schisms, then believe in Allah. If you did not practice the shahada with its two parts, then I'm afraid you did not reject the Taghut. To reject the Taghut is from Asl-Din, root Islamic education. It's not from the furu', the branches. It's from the root. Therefore, you can't be a Muslim until you uphold this Asl-Din, root Islamic education. The seventh Taghut is the Kafir army. You can join the American army, the French army, the British army, the Dutch army. Fight with them and die with them, and fight against Muslims and die with these armies. When you join these armies, you have become a Kafir outside the fold of Islam, because you give your wala to the Taghut. You did not reject the Taghut. The evidence is Surah Nisa, verse 76. Alladhina amanu yuqatiluna fi sabilillah. Walladhina kafaru yuqatiluna fi sabil Taghut. Faqatilu awliya ash-shaytan. Inna qad shaytan kana da'ifa. Those who believe, they fight for Allah. And those who disbelieve, they fight for the Taghut. So fight the awliya, the henchmen of the shaitan, for verily the plot of the shaitan is always weak. The eighth Taghut is the Kafir courthouse. So if your father should die and a Muslim woman should say, I don't want the estate of my father to be divided up according to Sharia law. I want the estate of my father to be divided up according to the American law, the French law, or the British law. I prefer this law over Sharia because this law is friendly to women. The Kafir law is friendly to women. This woman has now become a Kafir and she's a mushrik, and her sin is called tahakum. Tahakum is when you forego Sharia court and you go to the Kafir courthouse for judgment because you prefer their law over Sharia law. The man who goes to the Kafir courthouse for judgment is a mushrik, a pagan. Why? Because Tawheed Hakimiyya is the twin half of Tawheed Ibadah. Judging to Allah alone is the twin half of worshipping Allah alone. So Allah said, Alam tara iladhina yaz'umun annahum amanu bima unzila ilayk wama unzila min qablik yuriduna an yatahakamu ila at-taghut wa qad umiru an yakfuru bih wa yuridu shaytan an yudillahum dalalan ba'ida. Surah Nisa, verse 60. Haven't you seen those hypocrites who claim that they believe in what came down to you, O Muhammad, and what was revealed before your time? That they go to the Kafir courthouse for judgment, the false judges, even though they were commanded by Allah to abstain from these false judges who judge opposing Sharia, not in accordance to Sharia. And the shaitan wishes to lead them far, far astray. Nisa 60. So Allah called them hypocrites. The only law a Muslim is allowed to believe in is Sharia. If you believe in another law, you did not reject the Taghut. And you can't be a Muslim until you reject the Taghut. This is called Asl-Din, root Islamic education. To reject the Taghut is not from the furu', the branches, it is from the usul. Therefore, you can't be a Muslim until you reject the Taghut. The ninth Taghut is the Kafir institution, like the UN, the IMF, the Illuminatis, the Freemasons. Because when you give your bay'ah to the shaitan, you are no longer a Muslim. The UN was set up not for the protection of Muslims, but for the destruction of Muslim countries. Where was the UN when the Buddhists of Burma was killing Muslims? Where was the UN when the Serbs were killing the Muslims in Bosnia? Where was the UN when the Jews were killing the Muslims of Palestine? Where was the UN when the cow-worshippers, the Hindus, were killing the Muslims of Kashmir, and they continue to kill Muslims in Kashmir even till today? There is no benefit in the UN. It's not a Muslim organization. And it is haram for a Muslim country to join the UN because it was set up for the destruction of Muslim countries, not for the benefit of Muslim countries. And no Muslim is allowed to join the army of the UN claiming we are peacekeeping troops, because this is a kafir organization that has no good in it. The 10th Thagut is those who dislodge the Sharia. So these rulers in the Muslim world today who dismantle the Sharia, dislodge the Sharia, and govern the people with their evil and corrupted desires, they are the 10th example of the Thagut. There are people today who claim when you dismantle the Sharia, it is a minor kufr. So all the Muslim leaders who dislodge the Sharia, they are still inside the fold of Islam. And this is a big lie. This creed is Zandaka, it is heresy. Ibn Taymiyyah, Ibn Kathir, and all the classical scholars pass a fatwa saying that if you dislodge the Sharia, you become a kafir. Ibn Kathir went further. He says such a person should be fought until he returns to the Sharia of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Ibn Kathir and Ibn Taymiyyah said it is the ijma of all the Muslims that whosoever dismantles the Sharia is a kafir. This person is the 10th Thagut. When the Jews dislodged the Sharia by setting their fish net to catch the fish on a Saturday, Allah turned them into apes and swine. Who did Allah turn into apes? Those who saw them breaking the Sabbath and didn't stop them. Who did Allah turn into swine? Those who actually broke the Sabbath. Why did Allah turn them into swine? Because you are shameless. The pig is a shameless animal. Why did Allah turn some of them into apes? Because the apes, he copies what he sees. So if you are going to go along with the crowd, you are like an ape, you are like a monkey. Why can't you think for yourself? Why do you follow the crowd? Allah told you in the Quran, if you follow the crowd, they are going to lead you astray. Allah told you on many occasions in the Quran, in tuti akthar man fil ard yudilluka an sabilillah. If you follow the majority, they are going to take you away from the path of Allah Ta'ala. Surah 6, 116. So for you to follow the crowd without thinking for yourself, you are behaving like a monkey. And Allah said, Inna sharrad dawabi indallah as-sumabuk alladhina la yaqilun. Surah 8, verse 22. Verily the worst of created creatures, the worst daba, the worst beast in the sight of Allah are those who are deaf, dumb and blind. They can't even think for themselves. We don't want to be among those who are deaf, dumb and blind. We want to think for ourselves, so we follow the hujjah, the evidence. We follow the Quran and Sunnah. We don't follow the crowd, because Allah cursed the majority in the Quran. In Surah 6, 116, if you follow the majority of those who are on earth, of a surety, they shall lead you astray from the path of Allah. The 11th Thagut is the Mufti of the Thagut. So these tyrannical rulers, they have sheikhs who pass fatwas on their behalf to prop up their government. The scholars of the palace. Mata taraka al-alim ma alima wattaba al-hakim fi hukmihi al-mukhalif li kitabillah wa sunnat rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam kana hadha al-alim kafiran murtaddan yastahiq al-uquba fi dunya wal akhirah. Whenever a scholar abandons his knowledge and follows a ruler that governs against Quran and Sunnah, that scholar has become a murtad, an apostate, and a kafir who deserves to be punished both in this life and in the hereafter. Volume 35, page 373 from the Fatawa of Ibn Taymiyyah. There was a man in Chechnya called Ahmad Kadyrov, and he passed a fatwa taking sides with Russia to come into Chechnya. And Russia kills Muslim women and children indiscriminately, men, women and children indiscriminately. Ahmad Kadyrov gave his allegiance, his wala, to Russia. On the 9th of May 2004, he was killed by a huge bomb at a parade. All the Muslims were celebrating his death. Why? Because the Mufti of the Thagut is a Thagut. Then another sheikh called Sheikh Bouti of Syria, he supported the government of Bashar al-Assad. Bashar al-Assad, he uses warplanes to bomb refugee camps that contain Muslim women and children, because he is an Alawite and he hates Muslims. He hates Muslims, the Shiites of Syria and Iran. They hate Muslims more than Christians and Jews hate Muslims. Because these Shiites in Syria and Iran, they believe the Quran is corrupted. They accuse Aisha of having an affair. They believe that the sun, the moon, and the stars are subservient to the Shiite Imams. They said that their Shiite Imams are above all the prophets and all the messengers of Allah. They are the greatest enemies of Islam and Muslims. Now this Sheikh Booty, gave his wallah, his allegiance to Bashar al-Assad. On the 21st of March 2013, he was killed in his masjid with a huge bomb. All the Muslims in the world were celebrating his death. Why? Because the mufti of the Thagut is a Thagut. You can't be a Muslim if you are in bed with the Thagut. For you to be a Muslim, you need to reject the Thagut. The mufti of the Thagut is also a Thagut. And if you did not know this, and you need somebody to tell you this, it means that your knowledge of Islam is very, very lacking. The Thagut of today, he wants to control your life. He spies on your WhatsApp, he spies on your email, he spies on your Twitter, your Facebook, he spies on everything. He's a control freak. You know why? He has blood on his hands. If you have blood on your hands, you are paranoid. You can't sleep at night, you are paranoid. The Thagut has blood on his hands. He has killed millions of Muslims in Afghanistan, 1 million in Afghanistan, 1 million in Iraq, and maybe 1 million in Somalia as well, another million in Palestine, another million in Kashmir. And they like to use the word terrorism loosely. So when they don't like you, they call you a terrorist to kill you. They are opportunists. They are very quick to use the word terrorist so that they can kill you. Brothers and sisters in Islam, this is our topic, rejecting the Thagut. You can't be a Muslim until you reject the Thagut. You need to reject all the false deities. You need to reject all man-made isms and schisms. If you believe in a false deity or man-made ism and schism, you are yet to be a Muslim. I put it to you, all the Muslims of today who believe in democracy, their Qibla is the White House. And the Muslims who believe in Sharia and Islam and Khilafah, their Qibla is the Black House in Mecca. There are two Qiblas, the Black House and the White House. If you believe in democracy, your Qibla is the White House. So when you pray, you should face the White House. That is your Qibla. And if you believe in Islam, believe in Sharia, believe in Khilafah, then you can face Mecca, face the Black House when you pray, because you are successful in rejecting the Thagut.